Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour. Second meeting between federal government and trade union Congress on subsidy removal holds in Presidential Villa. Bandits kill 37, injure several others during attack on Sokoto communities. Police in Zamfara rescue 9 abducted children from bandits. And on the foreign scene, Ugandan soldiers killed by Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. And now the details. The Nigerian Union of Journalists has directed its members to join the Nigeria Labour Congress and its affiliated unions for a complete shutdown of economic activities across the country on Wednesday, June 7, 2023. The strike is for the federal government to reverse the recently fixed fuel pump price by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The Central Working Committee of the NUJ, after deliberating on the matter, found the NLC's position and proposed strike a worthy action as it is in the best interest of Nigerian citizens. The NUJ National Secretary Shuaibu Usman Lehman disclosed that journalists in the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory will join the NLC in the strike. The National President Chris Isiguzo and the National Treasurer Bamidele Atumbi said that members unanimously adopted the NLC's position on the issue. Meanwhile, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has commended the federal government for approving importation of petroleum products by private firms. Chinedu Anyaso, chairman of Ipman Enugu Depot Community in charge of Anambra, Ebonyi and Enugu State, said this while reacting to the development in Awka on Sunday. The managing director of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, on Friday said that private marketers could now import petrol into the country. Farouk said under the new arrangement, the NNPCL had ceased to be the sole importer of petrol into Nigeria. Anyaso said this was a positive development and appropriate response to the demands of marketers and Nigerian masses who had condemned the monopolistic grip of NNPCL in the oil and gas sector for decades. In the meantime, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has asked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to probe the allegations of unaccounted subsidy payments of $2.1 billion and 3.1 trillion naira between 2016 and 2019. Saraf urged him to name and shame anyone suspected to be responsible for the alleged systemic corruption and ensure their effective prosecution as well as the full recovery of any proceeds of crime. Saraf also urged him to promptly probe all fuel subsidy paid by successive governments since the return of democracy in 1999 and to use any recovered proceeds of crime as palliatives to address the impact of any subsidy removal on poor Nigerians. Saraf said if the recommended measures are not taken within 3 days, it shall take all appropriate legal actions to compel the government to comply with its request in the public interest. Now, 37 persons are feared dead and several others injured as bandits attacked 3 communities in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State. Eyewitness accounts indicate that the bandits attacked the communities on Saturday evening. The immediate past chairman of the area, Bashal Kielenjeni, while confirming the attack, said 18 persons were killed at Araka, 17 at Filingawa, and 2 at Arakadute communities. According to him, the offense of the villagers was their refusal to pay levies imposed on their communities by the bandits. When contacted, the spokesman of the Sokoto State Police Command, ASP Ahmad Rufai, denied knowledge of the attack. And the new commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, deployed to Zamfara State, Mustafa Sani, has warned personnel of the Corps to desist from violation of citizens' rights, as their primary responsibility is to protect the citizens against criminals. He gave the warning while taking over the command from the outgoing commandant, Mohammed Bello, in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital. The report.
Personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and some civilians witnessed the handing and taking over of the Zamfara state command of the Corps by a new commandant. The outgoing commandant, Mohammed Bello, has handed over the command to the newly posted commandant, Mustafa Sani, to lead and work with other security agencies in the fight against banditry. Bello, while thanking the Commandant General for the opportunity to serve Zamfara, a state with persistent security challenge, enjoined NSCDC personnel to accord new commandant maximum support to succeed.
What I want to seek further is a maximum cooperation that tend to be unalloyed one. I want you to accord it to my new incoming commandant to the state. Nothing more, nothing less of what I think I expected from you. Please give him that maximum cooperation.
The new NSCDC commandant, Mustafa Sani, said that he will not tolerate laziness and indiscipline from any of the personnel in the command in view of the daunting task before.
All the structure I made on ground, I will still maintain same. Unless if you prove yourself otherwise, I'll give you tax and expect 100% result from you, not 99%.
Sani assured residents that the Corps will do what it takes to protect citizens and critical national assets from criminal elements in Zamfara state.
In a similar vein, Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has condemned in strong terms the Saturday attack on Sakir Magaji and Jambako communities in the Maradun local government area of the state. The governor described the attack as barbaric and unprovoked aggression against innocent people. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Broadcast Media, Public and Press Affairs, Mustafa Jafaru, said that the new administration will not fold its arms and allow criminal elements to unleash terror on innocent citizens without repercussions. The statement said that the governor had directed the heads of security agencies in the state to, as a matter of urgency, deploy more security personnel to the affected communities to forestall further destruction of lives and properties in the troubled areas. While condoling with families of those who lost their loved ones, the state chief security officer sympathizes with the people who sustained injuries in the attack and prayed for those who lost their lives. Still staying with security matters, security operatives have rescued 9 kidnapped children at Gora Namai community in Maradun local government area of the state. A statement by the police public relations officer Yazid Abubakar explained that the 9 children who were sent to fetch firewood were intercepted and abducted by terrorists. The kidnapped victims have since been reunited with their families, and efforts are still on to trace the hoodlums for prosecution. The joint police and military patrol is ongoing around the axis to forestall the reoccurrence of the incident in the troubled community. Now, one of the federal government college Birnin Yauri schoolgirls released by bandits recently, Farida Kaoje, has been hosted to a civic reception by the traditional ruler of Kaoje, Mustafa Adamu Kaoje, in his palace. Farida was among the last students to be released by bandit leader Dogo Gide, who abducted them for over 2 years. The monarch said that despite the harrowing experience Farida has gone through in the hands of the bandits, her release from captivity is worth celebrating. Mustafa Adamu said that Farida is a princess and a daughter of an illustrious son. He commended the security agencies, individuals and retired Colonel Nangiwa Umar for their effort in ensuring safe return of Farida to her parents. Some suspected youth believed to be thugs have stormed the premises of the erstwhile Triumph Publishing Company in Faye local government area, converted to shops, attempting to start what seems to be demolition of property. The state governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, has in the last 2 days embarked on demolition of properties his administration tagged as illegally constructed or sold by his predecessor, Abdullahi Ganduje. Talking about his predecessor, Abdullahi Ganduje. Security operatives have been deployed to the scene, dispersing the crowd. In a panic reaction, traders who occupied some shops in buildings inside the Eid ground near Quarry Market are currently evacuating their belongings for fear of losing valuables. Now, ahead of inauguration of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, a youth group has raised alarm over plots to exempt certain members-elect from participating in the inauguration of Assembly to pave way for the emergence of preferred candidates as principal officers. Addressing journalists in Lafia, the state capital, the group, which is led by Awolu Galadima and Ibrahim Mohammed, alleged that plans by the camp of the immediate past speaker to cause political unrest have been concluded. The report.
Trust TV reports that the 6th Assembly had officially winded up after its valedictory session last week. Investigation by our correspondent indicates that Governor Abdullahi Sule is expected to make a proclamation and inaugurate the principal officers of the 7th Assembly in the next few days. We gathered did not go down well with the All Progressive Congress concerned group.
Any attempt to jeopardize the constitution, process and right of members of Nasarawa State House of Assembly will resist. That the government and APC leadership should stop using religions to undermine the peaceful coexistence of the state.
This press conference was organized to tell the people of Nasarawa State on the alarming danger planning by some unpatriotic politicians to truncate not only the good democratic practices, but existing peaceful coexistence enjoined in Nasarawa State.
It was learned that, as it stands, 3 returning members, including the former speaker, Ibrahim Balarabe Abdullahi, have indicated interest to pilot the affairs of the 7th Assembly. Others include Mr. Daniel Oga Ogazi, representing Kokona East, Ladi Jato, representing Kokona West, respectively. The outcome of the 2023 governorship and the state assembly elections placed the ruling party in a serious difficult position. All Progressive Congress got 11 seats against People's Democratic Party's 8, while other minority parties such as the Social Democratic Party (SDP) and the New Nigerian People's Party (NNPP) have 3 and 2 respectively. The vote tally indicated that the opposition parties collectively have 13 against the ruling party's 11.
Benue residents are full of expectations as the new government in the state settles for the business of governance. Jimmy Azande reports that civil servants and pensioners are particularly hopeful, and the new government will pay outstanding salaries owed by the former Governor Samuel Ortom administration. The report.
Expectations are high in Benue State for Governor Hyacinth Alia on issues of salaries and pensions.
Why the market is no go area for workers, and why the schools are no go area for workers, why the health sector is no go area for workers. We can on the whole say that the improvement over time is not enough, and the government to do something and do it urgently to make workers cope. In recent time, it has been even worse because, like in Benue, workers are old, pensioners are old. The government keep saying there's not enough money to cater for this, and that's why it has been old. And so we want to say that those who are in positions of authority should think outside the box. Let them not be reliant on what comes from the federation account. We can do better. We can generate funds within our own areas with superintendent and come up with something that we can increase the welfare of workers so that they can also live and live better in today's society.
Others are calling on the new government to prioritize the local government areas that have been shortchanged in the past. They feel the neglect of that tier is a major cause of insecurity and unemployment.
Because the local government is the nearest government to the rural area. A third tier of government is nearer to the people. And that's where we house a bulk of our population. And so during 1990s, or 1990 towards 1992, we discovered that there was sharp development that was taking place because the local governments were autonomous. They could access their funds directly, and they were able to execute projects that were prohibited. without any shortcut from any state government. And as a Democrat, I totally wholly subscribe to local government autonomy. Let the federal government be given its own face so that the people will benefit directly from their resources.
There is, however, hope that Governor Hyacinth Alia will change the narrative.
A lot of people are seeing the aspect of a reverend gentleman like Father Hyacinth or Memalue coming to cleanse Benue State from the shackles of poverty, underdevelopment, and insecurity. I hope that everybody in Benue State is seeing and have known that he can do it. Everybody is driving to that direction, and I think nobody is left behind.
We have the new leadership of this country, both at the state and at the federal level. So we are hopeful that the leaders who have chosen, or the leaders who have selected right now, or voted into offices right now, will come in so vigorously and look into the issues, especially bearing in mind that they are very conversant with the challenges on ground. And so we are very hopeful and trusting God that things will definitely change for better.
Residents are waiting to see how social crisis will be addressed going forward.
You're watching the news on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at how to avoid grey hair. Details and more after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian
Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now a look at the top story. Bandits kill 37, injure several others during attack on Sokoto communities. Now, the federal government meeting on Sunday night with representatives of the Trade Union Congress at the State House in Abuja did not end in an agreement. The TUC came to the meeting with a list of demands which the federal government team said it will present to President Bola Tinubu. But the president's advisor, Dele Alake, explained that a key demand which the president was positively inclined to was the issue of minimum wage. The TUC President General Festus Osifo, however, urged the government to show good faith by reverting pump price to status quo in the interim. Both sides have agreed to reconvene on Tuesday. An auto crash in Zakirai town on the Kano Ringim Road in Gabasawa local government area of Kano State has claimed the lives of 18 passengers. The incident caused by overspeeding, dangerous driving and overloading involved two commercial vehicles and resulted in a head-on collision and the subsequent bursting into flames of one of the buses. The Federal Road Safety Corps Sector Commander in Kano State, Ibrahim Abdullahi, confirmed the tragic incident. Expressing his condolences, Abdullahi lamented the magnitude of avoidable road crashes that have occurred in Kano State over the past week. During a visit to the crash scene, he warned motorists, particularly intercity and interstate drivers, to refrain from overloading, excessive speeding, wrongful overtaking and other traffic violations that could lead to such devastating accidents. The injured victims were promptly transported to the Murtala Muhammad General Hospital in Kano for urgent medical attention. Meanwhile, some of the deceased were given a mass burial at the accident scene, while others were handed over to their grieving relatives. Permanent Secretary, Federal Capital Territory Administration, Olushade Adeshola, says that steps will be taken towards developing bicycle tracks within the Abuja metropolis. Adeshola made the expression in a statement by the Director, Information and Communication, FCT, Muhammad Sule, in Abuja on Sunday. Adeshola spoke at the opening of the 2023 World Bicycle Day in Abuja. He said that bicycle tracks were already captured in the master plan of Abuja City, noting that the move will deepen the campaign to reduce the effect of climate change and carbon emissions. The Permanent Secretary described cycling as an enjoyable and physically beneficial sport which should be encouraged and promoted. Now, all intending pilgrims from Nasarawa State, Nigeria, airlifted to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have commenced Hajj rituals. Public Relations Officer of the State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Abdurazak Muhammad, told Trust TV that over 2,000 pilgrims are already in the holy city of Medina. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report.
Since Thursday, 25th of last month, the National Hajj Commission commenced airlifting intending pilgrims with those who have the opportunity and met all the requirements from Nasarawa State. Speaking to Trust TV during the pilgrim's visit to some of the historical sites in Medina, the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace be upon him, the Public Relations Officer of the Nasarawa State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Abdurazak Muhammad, confirmed that all over 2,000 pilgrims from the state are already at the different places of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Public Relations Officer explained that the pilgrims were airlifted from Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to King Abdulaziz International Airport, Medina, in 5 different flights. However, the PRO said that 4 intending pilgrims could not make it to the journey because of the accident involving them along Kefi Abuja Road on their way to Abuja Airport, a day before the commencement of the flight.
We airlifted almost all the pilgrims except 4 of them who involved in an accident on their way to Hajj camp. And the National State government have taken promise to pay off their medical bill and other things. And next year will give them first priority. All our intended pilgrims are currently in Saudi Arabia. First and second flight are currently in Mecca, while today the third flight will be moving to Mecca. Then the fourth and fifth will be in Medina. After spending their 7 days, we'll move them to Mecca.
He said so far, the pilgrims from the state are carrying out activities without challenges, except changes in environment and food.
There is no challenges, only maybe the change in weather and different in fruit varieties among others. But Alhamdulillah, they were copying it up.
Some of the state pilgrims who share their experiences in Saudi Arabia promised to pray for peace, unity, and progress of Nigeria. The pilgrims are given different accommodation close to Prophet Mosque in Medina and Grand Mosque of Kaaba in Mecca.
Now, Malam Abdullahi Maikaya is a household name around Arikilang Nasarawa area in Wamako local government area of Sokoto State. He pioneered perishable items trading in the community. But after trading for 20 years, Malam Abdullahi now survives on begging. Malam Abdullahi, who is originally from Jegawa village in Bodinga local government area of the state, said he had been into perishable items business before being struck by glaucoma, which consumed all his savings, leaving him with no alternative to begging.
I was doing well in the business when suddenly I started losing my sight. I spent all my money on treatment but did not regain my sight, and I have many dependents, including 2 wives and 10 children. I cannot let them die of hunger. So I opted for begging, at least to be able to put something on the table, no matter how small. Honestly, I don't like begging, but it appears to be the only means for survival because my children are still young. They cannot shoulder our responsibilities. I used to go out with a guard before getting a good Samaritan who sponsored my eye surgery. I can now see with my eyes, but I don't have money to go back to my business. I learned that a basket of tomatoes is around 30,000 naira. I don't know the cost of pepper and other perishable items. I don't need much, just a little to start with.
Now, people develop gray hair at different stages of life depending on the cause. It could be genetic, age, or pressure. But at what age should people expect gray hair? Abdullahi Amadi tells us more.
As people get older, the pigment cells in their hair follicles gradually die, such that the strands of hair will no longer contain melanin and becomes transparent color, as in gray, silver, or white as it grows. Many people ask question that at what age do people begin to grow gray hair? Experts say people can begin to notice gray hair in life at their 30s. Some may even find theirs in late 20s. It is normal for one to have gray hair, especially women in their late 20s, as experts agreed that stress, genetic, and other factors can play a significant role.
The genetic, that is hereditary, which somebody will inherit it from his parent. A young person from 20 up to 30, he can experience gray hair due to hereditary. In old age, it's irreversible, but in diseases, especially deficiencies, if of that vitamins, as I said earlier, when you reverse it to the vitamins, good balanced diet, treatment, white hair can turn to black.
What do people think about going gray?
I thought generally speaking, when you see somebody with a gray hair, you will just say, that man is old. People are looking at me as an elderly person, even though maybe my age has not reached to that,
A lot of people are not aware that gray hair can be caused by deficiencies in vitamin D3 and B12 and can be stopped or reduced by using micronutrients such as vitamin E, A, iron, copper, and zinc for healthy hair growth. In the same vein, there are also some home remedies to gray hair. Some food supplements are also suggested as natural hair growth enhancers. Eating right, living stress-free life, and exercising can also help in getting rid of gray hair, experts admitted.
Most of the security agents that I meet on the road, they respect me because of my gray hair. They either call me our Ustaz, Malam, Baba, and what have you. I can even see somebody that I'm definitely sure he's older than me. But because of my gray hair, he will still call me Baba.
No, it keeps my prestige in the eyes of the public.
Hurhura wato wani abu ne wanda yake mai daraja gun Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You see, gray hair is a blessing. God chooses people who He gives gray hairs. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Time now for us to take a quick break. The news hour continues shortly. Join us again. Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
A Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. You're still watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now, as Nigeria spent over $1 trillion to import iron and steel in the last 9 months, a group of concerned citizens want President Bola Tinubu to summon the political will and facilitate the lightening of the blast furnace of Ajaokuta Steel Complex as a sure way to take the country out of its current economic doldrum. The group gave the task at a news conference in Abuja. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
65 years after its conception by the Tafawa Balewa administration in 1958, the Ajaokuta Steel Complex, which is at 98% completion stage, remains in limbo, despite having the capacity to provide 500,000 direct and indirect jobs. The conventional three-phase blast furnace technology mill, designed to produce a combined output of 6.5 million metric tons of steel products, the concerned citizens say is begging for political will to roll.
The only thing that has stopped that company from taking off is the political will. If the government decides that that company should start, it will start. I trust the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to do whatever it thinks possible and is good. As far as we are concerned, this removal of the oil subsidy is an eye-opener now to all of us, that the government is trying to plunge all the loopholes in government and make sure that we get the best out of it.
As the country searches for solutions to its myriad of economic and social challenges, the group says realizing the Ajaokuta Steel Complex will open business opportunities, improves foreign exchange earnings, and stimulates industrial revolution.
A fully operational upstream steel sector has the capacity to open up a floodgate of business opportunities that will support national index of the military and security power, improve foreign exchange earner, constitute a tool that is critical for job creation and industrial growth. Citizens view that all these are crucial for business retention and strong sources of tax and revenue to government.
Despite its capacity to produce the required about $2 billion worth of steel for the Kano Maradi standard gauge, political will to ignite the Ajaokuta rolling mill, the concerned citizens say, is needed to make the dream a reality. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Katsina State Internal Revenue Service has issued warning to recover over 1 billion naira in debt and liabilities from commercial banks and other taxpayers operating in the state. The executive chairman of the service, Dr. Mustafa Muhammad, led officials to 3 commercial banks and KEDCO Electricity Distribution Company to post notices in strategic points. Jamil Mabai highlights the warning exercise in this report.
Posting notices in strategic points. The Katsina State Internal Revenue Service has issued a warning exercise to recover over 1 billion naira in debt and liabilities from commercial banks and other taxpayers operating in the state. The chairman of the service, Dr. Mustafa Muhammad, led officials to 3 commercial banks and KEDCO Electricity Distribution Company. According to the notice, defaulters has 2 weeks to settle their outstanding liabilities, failure of which will result in recovery options without further recourse.
We are giving them a period of 2 weeks within which to come forward and settle their outstanding liabilities, failure of which will result in recovery options without further recourse to these organizations. The state government is serious about this issue of revenue generation. So we are going to spare no agency that refuses to comply with the necessary provisions and relevant provisions of the law.
The warning exercise is to alert the general public of the erring company's non-tax compliance and to discourage their customers and clients from transacting businesses with them.
We have banks that owe up to 500 million. We've gotten to court with KEDCO. KEDCO owes about 190 something million, close to 200 million. So the amounts range, the amounts vary. The action we have, the law has given us all the necessary provisions within which to recover government monies from taxpayers, from erring taxpayers. So this exercise we've commenced with today is more or less a warning exercise. You can see it's a warning. We have told the public that these agencies are non-tax compliant. And your interest, it is better you do not deal with them. We are going to give them a period of 2 weeks, after which we will now enforce the full provisions of the law. We have quite a lot of options given by the law. We can garnish their accounts, we can freeze their accounts, we can take over their assets, we can lock up the premises until we get our payments. We have quite a number of options. Katsina State is a taxpayer-friendly state. So we don't want to get into that, and we are hoping it will not get to that. We are hoping this warning should serve and should be enough.
The affected companies declined request to respond on the issue. Jamil Mabai, Trust TV, Katsina.
Now, on the foreign scene, Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has announced the deaths of 54 Ugandan soldiers in an Al-Shabaab attack on a base housing African Union peacekeepers in Somalia. Museveni's statement comes a week after Al-Shabaab fighters stormed the base in Bulamara, 130 kilometers southwest of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The armed group claimed it carried out suicide bomb attacks on May 26 and killed 137 soldiers. Museveni said that the Uganda People's Defense Forces had since recaptured the base from the Al-Qaeda-linked armed group. Al-Shabaab has been fighting since 2006 to replace Somalia's Western-backed government with its own rule based on a strict interpretation of Islamic law. A Russian air raid on the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro has wounded 20 people, including 5 children. Serhiy Lysak, the regional governor of Dnipro, said 3 of the children were in serious condition following the attack on a residential district. A total of 17 people were being treated in hospital. Media reports say that emergency teams had pulled 4 people from under rubble in the area. We take another break, and when we return, the news hour continues. Join us again. Welcome back from that break. You're still watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now, on sports news, Lionel Messi and Sergio Ramos played their final games for Paris Saint-Germain as the Ligue 1 champions lost to mid-table Clermont on the final day. Defender Ramos headed in an opener from Vitinha's cross, and Kylian Mbappe's penalty gave PSG a 2-0 lead. Clermont battled back and Johan Gastien slid in after Marco Verratti's error. Now, Mehdi Zefan equalized, and Grey John Kay, who had a goal disallowed by video assistant referee and missed a penalty, bundled in the winner. Former Barcelona forward Messi, whose name was booed by some fans before kickoff, missed several chances to add to his 32 goals in 75 games for the club. Like ex-Real Madrid defender Ramos, he is out of contract and leaving the club this summer. Now, Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema has agreed a deal to end his glittering era at the club. The forward, 35, has been heavily linked with a lucrative move to Saudi Arabia. Benzema established himself as a key player alongside Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale in the vaunted BBC attacking trident before developing into the team's leader when the Portuguese striker left in 2018. Benzema has lifted 24 trophies with Madrid, including 5 Champions Leagues, 4 La Liga titles and 3 Copas del Rey, and is the current holder of the Ballon d'Or for the world's best player. He is Real Madrid's second top scorer of all time with 353 goals for Madrid, behind only Ronaldo on 450. Now we return to our earlier story, where the federal government's meeting on Sunday night with the representatives of the Trade Union Congress and the State House in Abuja did not end in an agreement. The TUC came to the meeting with a list of demands, which the federal government team said it will present to President Bola Tinubu. But the president's advisor, Dele Alake, explained that a key demand which the president was positively inclined to was the issue of minimum wage. TUC President General Festus Osifo, however, urged the government to show good faith by reverting pump price to status quo in the interim. Both sides have agreed to reconvene on Tuesday.
So the meeting we just concluded, we have detailed and marshaled out the list of our demands to them. So they also in turn told us that when they presented the items to us on Wednesday, we told them that we're going back to our principals. That they also need to touch base with the president so that we will convey this meeting again on Tuesday. So we've, and topmost in our demand was clearly stated as well that for utmost good faith and in the interest of social dialogue, that they should revert back the pump price while discussion continues.
Oh, it's a list, but we are not going to be listing all of those things now. We are not going to. The most important is the minimum wage. That is increase of minimum wage, because when this thing is removed, the argument of labor is that there is an immediate impact on the workers, on the purchasing power, because price of fuel has gone up. So that would necessarily reduce the purchasing power of the average worker. So the next thing of immediate consequence is to increase the purchasing power of the worker. And so that, to me and to all of us on this side, is a topmost priority on the list.
Now, before we go, here's a look at our kika for today. Fishers from Kilifi on the shores of the Indian Ocean have created the Kuruwitu Conservation and Welfare Association, an initiative they are using to conserve fish through the coral restoration with the long-term goal of restoring fish quantity in the ocean. Take a look.
you have to look the coral, the way the coral is growing. When there is coralline algae, maybe, which can stop the coral to overgrow the plug, you have to scratch it using the knife. Climate change, it is affecting the coral reef, because you know when there is a lot of warm in the sea, also it affects coral because the coral starting to lose the cell or the tiny algal cell. After nurturing the coral or the whole of the coral bed, then the main work you will have to do, the day you are going to nurture it, you have to leave it there for about 1 to 2 weeks so that the coral to stick it very well on the plug. The day that we are going to do our planting on this structure, then more fish are being attracted. Since I practiced to do the coral restoration, I as myself, I can say fish, they have been increased.
Well, that wraps up the news hour for tonight. In case you've missed, you can always catch up across all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.